千里之行，始于足下。A journey of 1,000 miles begins beneath the feet. We now gather in the Tao to travel the journey together. Welcome to Tao Talks with Derek Lin, where we delve deeply into the Daodejing by Lao Tzu. So before we get into section 2, I want to, at the end of section 1, I want to present to everyone another way to express that the first 4 lines, 0 to 1, from the Tao to the 1, from the 1 to the 2, 2 to the 3, 3 to the myriad things. Those 4 lines are expressed differently. And I want to make sure you see this other expression as well. It's what I call the Tao of creation. There are 4 lines presented in blue. And the first line is, as you see here, 无极生太极. So hang there for just a moment. I'm going to explain exactly what it means. First, I want to isolate the first 2 characters, 无极, and then talk about what they are. So here's the literal meaning. The first character means to not have, to be without. And then the second character, ji, means boundary or extent. So whatever is without boundary is without limit. So wuji really means the infinite, the boundless, the unlimited, the limitless. So there's a whole bunch of different expressions to talk about wuji. And wuji, if you want to represent it pictorially, you would basically use a blank sheet of paper. That's it. It's the state of nothingness. And yet, a blank sheet of paper is a blank canvas. It's an invitation to exercise your creativity. You can write things on a blank sheet of paper. You can draw, you can paint. So the blank sheet of paper can become beauty, can become design. It can become something wonderful. And that is the essence of wuji. Then, that's the first 2 characters. The middle character, shen, means to produce, to give birth to beget, to give rise to. And then taiji, this is the other important term. So let me isolate that. Taiji, what does that mean? Well, we figured out that ji, the second character, means boundary or extent. What about tai? That character means ultimate. So taiji together, the first 2 characters mean the ultimate extent, pushing the edge of the envelope, right at the boundary. This can be represented as a circle. And here's something that I want everyone to know. The Tai Chi that you have seen perhaps people do in a park, slow movements, graceful movements, good exercise, can also de-stress. Tai Chi is actually the older romanization of Tai Chi. It always was supposed to be pronounced Tai Chi, but nobody knew that CHI, Qi, was supposed to be pronounced that way. So everybody says Tai Chi, but it's actually Tai Chi. So it's well known in the West, and it's actually named after this term. The full name for the exercise/martial art is Tai Chi Quan. And I know that many of you have tried it or are still actively practicing it. So when we want to represent 无极生太极, the state of the infinite giving rise to the ultimate, we would use something like this, where there's only blankness at the top half of this pictorial diagram, going into a circle representing Taiji. And here's the translation for that. Wuji gives rise to Taiji, and that's because Wuji and Taiji have become jargon, specialized terms that oftentimes people who study Tai Chi will get into and understand, become familiar with these two terms. So Wuji gives rise to Taiji. Now I mentioned that there are 4 lines in this alternative expression of the Tao of creation. So what about the other 3 lines? What I can provide 2 additional lines. I can highlight, I can explain 2 additional lines. First of all, 太极生两仪. You can see the 太极 at the end of line 1 becomes the beginning of line 2. And then there's the same character, giving rise to, giving birth to, produces, and then we have a new term, 两仪, at the end of line 2. So 两仪, I have singled out for explanation. These are the 2 aspects, the so-called 2 aspects. What the 2 aspects are, you already know about. It's the yin and yang symbol that we've been referring to. So synonymous with the yin and yang. Therefore, we can translate the second line as Taiji gives rise to the 2 aspects. Simple, right? So let's explore line 3. So again, we have the 2 aspects at the end of line 2 going into the beginning of line 3. So 两仪生四象. Okay, well, what is that? A new term. Let's take a look. We can see, first of all, that when we depict 太极生两仪, we have circle as a symbol for 太极, the ultimate, going into the yin and yang symbol, which 两仪, synonymous with the yin and yang. And now let's take a look at 四象. So what is it? The 4 images. So literally, the first character means 4, the second character means image or reflection. It's the image of the great Tao or reflection of the great Tao. The 4 images can represent a lot of different things. It can, for instance, represent the 4 seasons, 4 compass directions, north, south, east, and west, etc. However, even though it's something that we see in real life, it's actually not depicted graphically. There's no specific depiction of that. If you had to depict it graphically, I would suggest that the compass with the 4 cardinal directions will do nicely. So we have now looked at the Mandarin characters in line 3. We're ready for the translation. The 2 aspects give rise to the 4 images. So then we just have one more line to talk about. So let's do that. Here's the last line. 四象生八卦. So once again, the end of line 3 becomes the beginning of line 4. And then we have shen, the same character for producing, giving rise to, and then we have bakwa. So what is that? So literally what it means, the first character is 8, and the second character means trigrams. Now, gua, the second character, in this case, is translated as trigrams, but the same character appears in reference to I Ching, the Book of Changes, And there, it's translated differently. Here, it is trigrams because you're going to see that it's composed of 3 lines, broken lines and complete lines. In the I Ching context, it is no longer 8, it's 64, and it's translated as hexagram because in I Ching, it is composed of 6 lines, some all the way through, some broken in the middle. So then the 4 images give rise to Bagua. And here's what Bagua looks like. Looks like the octagonal shape, 8 sides, each one with a different combination of unbroken lines and lines broken in the middle. That's Bagua. So there are 8 of them, which is why it's the 8 trigrams. So with that, we have all 4 lines, which is a different way to express the Tao of creation. So think about the difference for just a moment. The first line is a close correspondence to the Tao produces the one. Wuji gives rise to Taiji. And then the second line matches line 2 in chapter 42. Taiji gives rise to the 2 aspects. That's the one producing the 2. Then we begin to vary. In the Daodejing, it says the 2 produce 3. And that's the factor of dynamism or action or movement or change or transformation. Here, though, in this expression, it's talking about 2 aspects giving rise to the 4 images, from the 2 to the 4, rather than the third factor of dynamism, which in this expression is baked in to the second line. So remember, the second line, the 2 aspects, that is already the yin and yang. In the Daodejing expression, the second line is about the duality, 2 things. And then the third line, the third factor, is when they become the interacting yin and yang. So that's the difference. And then the 4th line, in this case, involves the Bagua, the 8 trigrams. But in the Daodejing, it's about how the interactions, the third factor, the dynamism, giving rise to the myriad things. So again, a little bit different. First 2 lines, mostly the same. The last 2 lines, mostly different. So when we put it together, here's what we have. And I've got this alternative English expression of the same concept. Wuji gives rise to Taiji. The oneness of the Tao emerges from limitless infinity. So I am swapping the order to form a sensible English sentence. Limitless infinity will be Wuji. The oneness of the Tao will be Taiji. So they're reversed in this English formulation. Then Taiji gives rise to the 2 aspects. Again, I flip them around. The complementary duality emerges from the ultimate oneness. So the ultimate oneness is Taiji, complementary duality will be the yin and yang symbol. And then the 2 aspects give rise to the 4 images. I flip them around. The 4 images of the Tao emerge from the complementary duality. And lastly, the 4 images give rise to Bagua. I say the 8 trigrams emerge from the 4 images. So these are just different ways to say the same thing. Now, I want to also put in the note here that some people will even add a 5th line, like Bagua Yan Wan Wu, which can be translated as Bagua manifest as the myriad things. So this would match the 4th line in Daodejing chapter 42. And if I were to flip it around in the way that I have done here with the alternative English expression, I would say the myriad things manifest from the 8 trigrams. So now, and Wan Wu, of course, when we talk about the myriad things, I want to just briefly mention that Wan Wu means 10,000 things, literally. It can refer to all living things or just everything. Our meeting has come to an end, but the journey continues on. Let us travel safely. Until next time, may the Tao fill you with peace and happiness.